Hey dear students, I hope you would be having a good time of the new year. Today we are going to discuss Coleridge's criticism to the poetry of William Wordsworth. First, before going to forward, we have to keep in the mind that Coleridge and Wordsworth were the best friends, and they wrote together the poetry and preface to the lyrical ballads, in which I have already mentioned in the different lectures that in the preface to the lyrical ballads there were 21 poems, 19 from William Wordsworth and 2 from the Coleridge. Though they were friends and they were contemporary poets as well, but they are different in their conception of poetry and the diction of the poetry as well. So Coleridge, in spite of being the friend of William Wordsworth, is the best critic of Wordsworth as well. So first of all, I'm going to extend it as that Wordsworth was of the opinion that the poetry should be very in a very simple language, in the language of a rustic one. Rustic mean common people. It should deal with the common themes, the themes of nature. While on the other hand, Coleridge considers that poetry should be of the elevated order. It should be the best words in the best order, and it should be more imaginative, it should be more supernatural. While on the other hand, William Wordsworth considers that poetry should be a natural one. So basically William Wordsworth spiritualizes the nature, and he presents the nature in such a way that it becomes a supernatural thing. Even William Wordsworth make the natural things as supernatural, while Coleridge makes the supernatural things as the natural one. This is the major difference between these two poets. So as we already talked, that preface to lyrical ballads was written by William Wordsworth. It was basically the agenda in which he has discussed that what was the purpose of writing such a simple poetry. Before going forward, first we have to keep in mind that basically the romantic tendency of the poetry and this Wordsworth's conception of poetry was basically a reaction against the neoclassical tendency in the English poetry. We have seen that after the John Milton, there was a very such a very mockery activity in the English poetry that the poets used to gather the phrases, such expressions, such choices of the words which were quite unnatural for a common man. So in the new classical age, poetry have gone to some extent into a very mechanical organization of the words and the phrases, and it was more verbose than the expression of the true feelings. So preface to the lyrical ballad is an epoch-making contribution to the English literature. It is a landmark of the literary criticism. In this critical essay, Wordsworth argues that the language of the ordinary life should be employed in all kinds of poetry. This was the major conception of William Wordsworth's concept of poetry, that the language of ordinary life and ordinary people should be employed in poetry. All those phrases and forms of style should be rejected which did not belong to the language of the real life, while this such phrases and the styles has been used in the new classical poetry as well. So Wordsworth projected a reaction against such inclusion of such phrases in the poetry. The critic actually gives us his theory of poetic diction in this piece. He believes that his theory of poetic language is merely a reaction against the pseudo-classical theory of poetic diction. But at the same time, S.T. Coleridge differs with the Wordsworth, and he criticizes his conception of poetry and his theory of the poetic diction as well. So now we look at it. He criticizes and tries to refute it. We also find limitation and contradiction of the poetic diction of Wordsworth. So Wordsworth's theory of poetic diction is of immense value. It is considered to be a very corrective to the artificial, insane and unnatural phraseology which has been developed in the neoclassical tendency of English poetry. It is current at a time, but if it is full of the number of contradictions and suffers from a number of limitations. Means Wordsworth was not clear about his theory, that what he is going to say. For example, if he says that there should be the rustic poetry for the rustic language for the poetry, so he was not sure that what does the mean by the rustic language. So in this way he dragged the poetry into the retrogression rather than in the progression. Wordsworth does not say clearly what he means by the language. Language is a matter of the words as well as of the syntax. It is also a matter of use of imagery, as imagery is created through the language. Wordsworth himself is not free from criticism. Coleridge is first critic to criticize his views expressed in the preface to the Lyrical Ballads. He is particularly critical of his theory of the poetic diction and his defense of meter. For example, Coleridge says that there should be a conscious effort of meter in the poetry. So when it comes to the sense of the consciousness, then does not it become a very natural language? For example, if I am a poet, I am going to make the words and phrases, so definitely it would not be the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. I would be making an embellished language. So how in the defense of poetry, how I can be a very natural one in my language? He exposes many weaknesses of Wordsworth theory. Wordsworth talks of a selected and purified language. So Coleridge points out that what does this mean, the selected and purified language? So when Wordsworth talks of the selected and purified language, then definitely Coleridge criticizes that he is making the language as artificial one. Means at the same time he is provoking the poets or the artists to use this rustic language or the language of a common man, and at the same time he is urging them, provoking them to use the selected and purified language. Purified language means is the contradiction of the language of a common man. Coleridge argues that such type of language would differ into no way from the language of any other men of the common sense. Means that purified language would be different from the language of the common man. After such selections, there would be no difference between the rustic language and the language used by the common man in their way of life. Again, Wordsworth permits the use of the meter employing a particular order and arrangement of the words. So Coleridge concludes that there is and there ought to be an essential difference between the language of prose and the metrical composition. So same is the theory that poetry can never be the language of a common man. Poet should think above the level of as poet is not a common man. In our previous lectures we have talked that a common man a poet can be a common man, but a common man cannot be a poet. Means the poet, there are some parameters for a poet. That poet should be more imaginative. He should have the society, he should see the society in a different angle. So this common sense does not work for the poetry of Wordsworth. So Coleridge concludes that there ought to be an essential difference between the language of prose and metrical composition. Meter mitigates that the whole atmosphere and the language of the poetry is bound to differ from that of prose. The use of meter is as artificial as the use of poetic diction. It means when we would be using the meter and there would be a conscious effort would be involved in it, then definitely it would not be more a language of a common man. If one is allowed, it is absurd to forbid the use of the other. Means they are at the price of one another. Both are equally good source of the poetic pleasure. Means poetic diction, common language is also necessary, but the meter is also necessary. Coleridge objects to the Wordsworth's views on the use of common language. He says that the views can be applicable only in some cases but not in all cases. Again, when the rustic language is purified for its crudities means common raw materials, and oddities would be practically the same as the language used by any other class of them. And furthermore, Coleridge feels that the language of the rustics would prove to be too scanty to provide the suitable diction for the expression of a varied experience. For example, poet is not a poet of the common of a class. We have to keep in mind that poet is a universal agent one. He has to talk with every section of the people, a section of the society. So if he is going to choose the language of a rustic or a very particular community, then how he would be able to communicate his message with the elite class or the other sections of the society? So here Wordsworth is at the fault. He also criticized that the preface for the needless obscurity of its later half, means preface to the lyrical ballad which he has written, which William Wordsworth has written. Coleridge also criticized that the diction employed is also unnecessarily elaborate and constrained one, which he has used in the preface to the lyrical ballads. Coleridge again refuses that the best parts of our language are derived from nature. Means language itself is the very refined part, so it does not further purifications. The best words are abstract nouns and the concepts. These are derived from the reflective acts of the mind. For example, if we talk of the beauty, are the beauty is perceived by the man, by the minds of the men, not it's constructed through the language.